It's Richard Calleri. I'm the CEO and founder of Ignis Energy. Ignis Energy is a geothermal exploration and development company. We are focusing on high enthalpy projects using established technologies. And we've grown pretty quickly in the last 3 years since our founding. We have a diverse team spanning Turkey, US, and Italy. We have active permits in Alaska, in Nevada, in California, in Italy, and a large 5 different permits in Turkey. On most of these, we've already collected MT and gravity, some seismic, and as of November, we just drilled our first temperature gradient well in Turkey, which is very successful.
What is the business strategy behind building such a diverse, geographically diverse portfolio abroad?
Sure. Obviously, each location is different. The geology is different everywhere you go. We wanted to have a diverse portfolio on the risk side. So we both have, obviously, we're building a pipeline. So you build your project at different time of execution. We looked at projects all over the world, and we ended up focusing mostly on Turkey and US because of speed to market. We incorporated the company 3 years ago. We started really working in earnest 2 years ago. And in 2 years, we built this huge portfolio around the world in locations and countries where our speed to market and our ability to actually forecast cash flows is pretty clear. For example, why do we choose Turkey? Well, Turkey has great advantages. You have a guaranteed purchase agreement from the government, 15 years in US dollars. We have a team there that's been working in Turkey for over 15 years. So we have a great source of permit areas and lots of information. US, again, we're looking at Alaska, which is a very particular market, very high cost of electricity. Looking at California, again, very particular market. Nevada as well. So we're focusing on all these countries and locations have a somewhat common thread, as in, we have high enthalpy, we have fluids, well, we hope we have porosity. We'll see when we first drill wells, of course. And we have sensitive market, we have infrastructure already built, and we have high electricity prices for when we actually produce power. So that's kind of the general trend and common themes across our portfolio.
Okay, then. So aside from selecting the projects based on those qualifications, are there any unique technological approaches that you're planning to employ?
We've tried to be, we call ourselves technology agnostic. So we're not developing any new technologies ourselves on the drilling, on the subsurface or surface side. Geothermal has been around for a number of years. Of course, the oldest power station is Lardarello in Italy, just celebrated 120 years. We're focusing on doing plain vanilla, off-the-shelf geothermal. So of course, we can buy power plants. There's 3 or 4, 5 maybe producers out there. We're not trying to do EGS or AGS systems. However, because we're targeting high enthalpy projects, we do have that flexibility, right? Of course, the higher the temperature you start from, you have a lot more flexibility. If you do need to do EGS or AGS, you could use it there. If you start from a medium enthalpy or low enthalpy, there's not much you can do about it. Of course, with the high enthalpy, you can also sell your heat multiple times. You can produce power, maybe you have an industry around the corner, and then of course, also for agricultural purposes, agricultural purposes.
Okay, so can you tell us a little about what's next for Ignis Energy? What are your future plans, say, in the 5-year horizon?
Sure. Well, we've just closed our Series A financing. We raised $12.5 million, which will be used to drill our first deep wells in Turkey and complete the surface analysis in California and in Alaska. And if we look forward, again, because of the markets we've chosen, we can go to market very quickly. So we have already in 26 and 27, we plan to being at FID status for a number of power plants. We're potentially starting construction of power plants in 2027. So, by 29, 2030, I would expect by 2030 to already have at least a couple of power plants under operation. That's the target. It's aggressive targets, we know, but we think they're quite achievable.